Hello, everyone, and welcome to Life Essentials, the Self Healer's Journey podcast. I'm a little discombobulated tonight. Guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. So, tonight I am excited because I have the lovely Miss Lisa Kentner here. She is the author of A Million Little Miracles, and her book talks about a common sense intro to the law of attraction. And I myself have been indulging in the workbook section. So I just want to say, a little bit about Lisa, and then I will formally introduce her to you here. So Lisa is a ooh, marketing instigator, a mom to an overachieving brainiac who provides a boot in the butt to her small business clients to create consistent, simple to use marketing plans. I'm going to use you. She is a late bloomer, married at 39, had a daughter at 42, started her business at 50 and got divorced, and wrote her first book at 60. You go, girl. Through all of that, she's become a true believer and practitioner in the law of attraction. So I'm going to stop it right there and just say, welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
And I am happy to have you here. So we were having a little fun, guys, before we went live and, just being Bobby. So, but Lisa, she wrote the book, and A Million Little Miracles. And Lisa is going to share with you her journey of how the book began, and where she is at right now, just on her journey of living and working through the law of attraction. So Lisa, share your story. Like, how did the book begin?
It was all law of attraction that fell into place. I was informed that I'd be getting a divorce, and it was Super Bowl Sunday. And I was like, I had to get away just so I could process the information. And so I decided I was going to go. My parents live in Illinois. I grew up there. And I thought an 8-hour car ride would give me time to kind of regroup and just process what had happened. And so I jumped in the car, and I knew I had been studying law of attraction. I watched The Secret. That's how I was first introduced. And then really got into it and took a workshop on it and was reading everything I could. And I knew, okay, going through divorce is not easy for anybody, that I would have to, I kind of had, it was like a fork in the road, and it was either, okay, you can go get a big box of Kleenex and a bag of potato chips and cry yourself and feel sorry for yourself, or power through this and come out better on the other side. And my daughter was 15 at the time, and I didn't think laying in bed feeling sorry for myself would set a very good example. So I jumped in the car, packed a bag real quick, and headed to my parents' house. And I put this book. I was like, okay, I need to get some motivation, because all of a sudden I picture myself homeless, living out of my car. I'm going to get divorced. I'm like, whoa, you have to stop those thoughts right now. And so I was like looking for a book, an audio book, real quick, and I found one. It was Vanessa Joy Walker, and I don't remember a lot about it, but it talked about there will be good things that come from going through something bad. And I was like, well, that's pretty where I am right now.
Yeah.
So I put it in, and then I thought, okay, what's going to be good that comes out of this? And I'm trying not to think about being homeless or living out of my car. And so I was like, well, I won't have to wonder what's wrong now. I know, he wasn't happy. So I don't have to worry about that. So that's a big load off. The not knowing always bothered me.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's taken care of. And then I thought, okay, what else is going to be good? And I thought, well, I'll have peace in my life. I'll be able to do what I want, and I'll have peace, and I'll have calm in my life. And then I thought, you know what? And this sounds ridiculous, but it's the absolute truth. I thought, I'm going to buy the prettiest bedspread I can find. Because he always wanted input, and it was usually boring beige, and I want color and bright. And so for a long time, it was an 8-hour drive. I'm thinking about this bedspread that I'm going to find, but I'm thinking after I get divorced. So I'm like, okay, this bedspread's going to have big flowers on it. It's going to be really pretty. And I think it just kept me from going off the rails. I was like, okay, just focus on the bedspread. So I get 8 hours. I get to my mom's house, and she's, my sister had called her and told her what was going on. So I didn't have to, it was hard to tell people at first. So I was like, I don't want to do that right now. So she knew, and she's like, I'm sorry, and we'll do whatever we can to help you, and you'll get through it, and all that. Very supportive. And I said, well, you know what? There'll be good stuff that comes out of this. Trying to talk myself into it, I think. And she said, well, like what? I go, well, I don't have to wonder what's wrong now. I know what's wrong, so that part's taken care of. I go, and you know what? I'm going to buy the prettiest bedspread I can find when I get after the divorce. And my mom is one of those people that changes her decorations with
the girly girl.
Yes, with the seasons or with her mood. And so she's where I'm like, I put it up there, and when it wears out, then I get something else. So she said, you know, I bought a bedspread a while back, but I didn't like how it went with my carpet, and I don't think I gave it to Goodwill because it was really nice. Do you want to go look for it? Well, what else am I going to do other than worry about this upcoming divorce? I'm like, yeah, let's go look for it. So we go in her, she had this big walk-in closet, and about the fourth bag in, we find this bedspread, and it's gorgeous. It has big purple, purple's my favorite color. Thanks for the purple shirt, by the way. But the flowers look like they're blowing in the wind, and kind of a sagey green and a cream color, and it's really soft. And it was nicer than I had been imagining. And I think with law of attraction that happens. You're focusing on something, and you always need to say, or better, because you leave room for it to be better than what you're thinking, and it was. And my mom said, well, do you want it? And I said, yes. And she said, okay, under one condition. And I said, well, what's that? And she said, I want you to put that bed, or the bedspread on your bed as soon as you get home. Because we had to live together for the whole divorce. So, yeah, that wasn't fun, but I did. I put the bedspread on. You know, I was at my parents' for a couple days and then went home and put that bedspread on right away. And every night it felt like I was getting a hug from my family, and I was like, I'm going to get through this. And that was really the first story of something good happening while going through something not so good. And so then these things just kept, you know, I would focus on what I needed or what I wanted, and these things would plop into my lap, or people that I needed for something would help me with something just when I needed them to fall into place. And so I kept trying. I was like, I gotta write this stuff down. So I'm writing all these stories down, and I'm having coffee with my friend, and I'm telling her, you know, I'm getting a divorce, and I said, but all this good stuff keeps happening. I said, I'm putting law of attraction into overdrive. I'm really working it. And she looked at me and she goes, sounds like you have a book. And I go, I don't know how to write a book. And she goes, I think you should. Think about the people that you could help. And I was like, and you know, I was kind of went, And she goes, I go, well, who would, and she goes, well, people that are going through a tough time. Doesn't matter if it's a divorce or you know, they're just feeling down in the dumps or whatever. You could talk about these things and what you did to keep your mind right going through the divorce. And I said, well, I'm not going to talk about the divorce. Nobody wants to hear the nitty gritty ick from that. And she said, no. And so she said, and then she said, oh, I've got a friend in Chicago who wrote a book, and she had gone through divorce, and she's kind of a life coach person. You should talk to her. Let me give you her number. Again, law of attraction at work. And I go, okay. And so I called this woman, and we set up an appointment and talked for an hour, and she told me, she said, oh, you should call this person Professor Eric Kester. He's at Georgetown University, and I went through this program to write my book. I go, okay. And so I tried to connect with Eric at that time, and I was right in the middle of the ugly of the trying to get the negotiation. My head wasn't there. And so I kind of dropped the ball. And then after the divorce had gotten final, I moved into my new house, I thought, you know what, I'm going to check out that program. So I set up a call with this Professor Eric Kester, and I told him about my idea that, you know, it was about kind of I'm a common sense person. It's like, well, I'm always like, well, does that make sense? And so I said, I want to talk about the law of attraction, but I want to do it from a really common sense, low level spot, so that people that aren't familiar with it don't get turned off by some of the people that are really into it deep can get a little out there.
Yes.
So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to just like give people a start or a little gentle love nudge to look into it more on their own, and little things they could do to keep their own mind from going to the negative. And he goes, yeah, you should do that. And I go, okay, but I don't know how to write a book. And he goes, you don't have to know how to write a book. That's why you join this class. We'll teach you how to write a book. If you do what we tell you to do, and we'll help you get it published, you'll have a published book in 10 months. And I went, okay. And I signed up that day. And I paid, you know, there was a cost to it, but it was very reasonable. And I had researched other programs that felt like they were selling me something versus teaching me something.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think about it. Normally I'm one that I'm like, well, let me think about it for a little bit. I just like, because I thought if I don't do it now, I won't do it. And so I signed up, and then I started in writing, so I was divorced in 2021, and February of 2022, started this class, and and normally I'm a person too that will they'll say, oh, I'll do this or that, and I'll go, well, why do we do it that way? I just want to understand it. And I thought, I'm not going to ask why, I'm just going to do what they tell me to do. And so my editor would go, okay, I need you to write 5,000 words this week. And I'm like, okay. And I would just write 5,000 words. And so I got a book published in 10 months. I know. So the bedspread's really the story that started the whole thing. And then it was just another one that kind of stuck out. When getting a divorce, you have all these things that have to fall into place. And so I had to sell a condo in Illinois so I could buy a house here. He had to agree to all the stuff. We had to get everything lined up. And so I have a friend that's a realtor, and she was going to help me. She didn't want to show me houses because I wasn't ready. I hadn't sold my house yet. She's like, Lisa, I don't want you to fall in love with a house until you're ready to buy one. And it was in the market where everything was priced going for way higher than, there was no inventory. No inventory. Everything was way high, and you were being outbid by too many people. And I think my parents at that time were like, ooh, I hope she's not going to be homeless again. We're back to the homeless thing. But at that point, I was calm about the house. I said, you know what? My house will show up when it's supposed to. And so I had to sell the property, and oh no, we got to put flooring in the property before you can sell it. And all these things fell into place. And I started looking before I was really ready. I said, I just want to see what's out there. I haven't looked for a house in forever. So we're looking, and I'm getting like, oh, I don't want to end up in a dump that I'm going to be depressed about coming home to. And then everything fell into place, sold the thing, I'm ready to buy, I'm approved, all that, and we're out looking, and I walk in my house, and I'm like, this is it. This is what, but I had, in August of that year, before I was divorced, I made a list of 10 things that I wanted my house to have. And I was specific. I wanted a new air conditioner and a new roof, all the big stuff. I wanted a attached garage, a fenced-in backyard so my dog could go, play or run or whatever. And so 10 things. And found my house, I think it was October 2nd. It had every single one of those things, except it didn't have a basement, but it had a shed. And I think the universe was saying, you really don't want a basement because you're just going to fill it with junk. And so I was like, okay, thanks, universe. This is my house. And so I love it. It's a cute little house. But again, I made the list. And I think law of attraction, you focus on what you want, not what you don't want. So instead of going, oh, I don't want to be without a house, I was like, nope, my house is going to be there when I need it to be. And it was. It was just, I was very calm about the house. And I don't think, I shouldn't have been, because it was a crazy time to buy a house, but it all fell into place.
I like that story too.
Yes.
No, I like the positivity that you exude. Like, even when you came in, it's just like your energy is just so bright and abundant. I love it.
Thank you.
So your words just speaking it, I know it's just like the universe is just crafting it up. So
I think going through that, the negative thing of going through divorce is you have a choice every day. You wake up. If you say, oh, this is going to be a crappy day, it will be. Or you can go, you know what? This is going to be a great day. And it will be. It's all what you tell yourself. And I think it's easy to go negative. Something bad happens, and then it can turn into a negative day, and then a negative week, and then it just, becomes habit. But you can also reverse it. So if you've been thinking negatively, and I think too, I'm going to back up a little bit, I think you have to be careful about who you're hanging out with. Because if you're with somebody that's negative all the time, I think it rubs off, and you have to be very careful. And now I feel like I have PTSD. When somebody gets negative, I'm like, I run. I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. I gotta go. I'm gonna go hang out with the people that have good energy, and you guys have good energy too here, by the way. I came in, I was like, this is gonna be fun. So I think just really focusing on who you're hanging out with. Look at who you're hanging out with, and we all come with baggage from childhood and from friends and coworkers and just people that so you have to be you have to really be careful. And I think the more you start focusing on the positive, then all of a sudden more positive people keep coming into your life.
Yep.
And so I found that going through the divorce too. I was like, nope. And don't give somebody the power to take away your happiness.
Yes.
You know, I think a lot of people, and in the beginning I was like, well, I'm going to get this bedspread when I'm divorced. Or I'm like, I'm so happy when I'm divorced. I'm like, well, wait a second. Why wouldn't I be happy going through? Because that's 9 months. Why am I not going to be happy? Because it's my choice. It's nobody else's choice. So that was the other thing, is I'm not going to give somebody else the power over my thoughts. They're mine. And so I always try and think of that when something bad happens. I think you have to recognize, this isn't, but then I kind of limit my pity party to, okay, 10 minutes, cry, yell, whatever you want to do, and then snap out of it and figure out how you're going to work this out. Because you can do it. You've gotten through everything else.
Yep.
And everything works out, and usually better than we think it's going to work out.
Yep.
So when negative things, and because, there's just, there's negative stuff happens all the time, but and if you can focus on redirecting the thought. So you get a negative thought, and you're like, ooh, I don't want to do that. I wore for a while a rubber band, one of those big thick ones, and if I went negative, I'd snap myself.
I'm going to give me a couple.
Armful of them and just snap it. But that way it's kind of like, oh yeah, snap out of it. And then instead of going, this is so bad, I think you recognize, okay, yeah, this isn't so good, but what's the lesson I'm supposed to learn from this? Or sometimes it makes you go, oh, gosh, I'm so, like the other day, I was supposed to meet somebody early morning for coffee. I go out and my car was dead, like dead, nothing going on. And I'm thinking, well, it was just the battery. So instead of getting all, I was like, thank you. I'm just glad it's the battery. That's an easy fix. And so it didn't ruin my whole day, where before all this, I probably would have been, I'm not going. Right. So I think sometimes it makes you remind yourself to be grateful for everything that you have.
Yep.
And so I was like, oh, thank you for my car, and thank you for the new battery, and thank you. And the more gratitude you can express or think about, the more good things that come to you too. Every night I write a gratitude journal, and I just think about the day, and it doesn't have to be big things that you're thankful for. It can be, hey, my dog, he makes me laugh every day, so he might be it, or it might be the sunshine, or whatever it is. Just focus on being grateful for things. I think helps, again, retrain your thoughts.
It does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Last night, because when we talked, I was kind of like venting, and
no, you weren't. You were good.
But it kind of really, it made me think about my situation that I'm going through. And today I was telling one of my girlfriends that the situation I'm going through, I have to change my self-talk, because I was being so negative, like, I just can't stand this, I hate this. And then I'm like, ooh, but that's typically not who I am. But then I find myself, when I get in those spaces sometimes that are familiar spaces, I'm like, I'll revert back to that victim mindset. And so I was like, man, I needed to talk to you last night. So the other night. But so when I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, I'm redirecting. Everything is now, it's what I want, and I'm going to have what I want.
Right.
So, because
we all deserve what we want. But we have to focus on, again, what we want, not what we don't want. And I think people, like, a lot of times if they're thinking about money, they're like, oh, I'm so broke. And I find I'll slip into that where I'm like, oh, how am I going to pay the bill? And it's like, no. I can make more money. It's just money. I can make more money. Yeah, and I'll figure it out. It'll work out, and then all of a sudden some check shows up that I wasn't expecting or something, and you're like, that was easy. I just need to focus on that. So again, I think writing down what you want and journaling, I'll make lists too, where if I'm really focused on something, I'm like, okay, and put it in a positive way, and also then write it so that as if it's already happened. So you're telling your subconscious it's already there. And then it becomes more believable, and I think easier to make it happen then too. So there's a lot of things. And I think too, we have to take care of ourselves. And that was one of the things going through the divorce. I'm like, you're gonna have to try and get enough sleep and eat right and exercise. And I had started an exercise program, but I went like heavy duty swimming and walking and that's a real quick way. If you're down in the dumps or feeling bad, is move. Whatever way you, and I don't like to call it exercise because then it's like you have to do it.
Yeah.
You should want to do it, so figure out what you, like I love to swim, so I go swim, and that's my thing. And if I don't swim, I'm like, I gotta get to the pool. But find whatever movement it is, gardening, walking your dog, dancing, we'll have dance parties at my house with the dog and the cat and myself.
The crew.
Yeah, the crew. But it's hard to dance and not smile.
Yes.
So you gotta find your movement. That's a really quick way to boost your mood, just really fast.
Yeah.
Sunshine helps. Hanging out with fun people.
Yep.
Watching a funny movie. Those are just little simple things, but sometimes that's all you need is the nudge the right way instead of the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then stay away from the people that...
The negatrons, the earth disturbers. That was me and my best friend called them the earth disturbers.
I like the negatron too. I'm going to use that. That's good. Yes, definitely. And sometimes you just have to. And it's hard because there may be people that you've been close to, but you have to protect yourself and your thoughts.
Those how hard boundaries are important. And like even with family, like I have family members who can be negative Nancy sometimes. And for years it was hard for me to set those boundaries. But the more I worked on changing some things within myself, it became easier to set those boundaries and then call people out. Like, hey, we're being kind of, if we're going to continue this conversation, we need to change how we're talking or else I'm going to have to get off the phone.
Yep.
And they'll shift. Because, I was taking on the weight of so many people and it was draining my battery. Yep. And I absorb other people's energy, something terrible.
I do too. So you have to be very careful on that. Very careful. And it's not being selfish. It's just protecting. Because if you go down the wrong rabbit hole, then it's like, ugh. So
who do you have to charge you back up? Nobody. Because you charging everybody else up.
So you have to charge yourself first.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. You do have to protect yourself. And I think sometimes too, if you're dealing with somebody like going through the divorce, there were days where I was like super angry, but it's like I had to let that go. And I think writing the book helped with a lot of that because anger tears you up and the other person doesn't care. So
and they're still controlling you and don't even know they're controlling you, but you're allowing them to still control you.
So you gotta stop that. It's like, why would you give somebody the power to mess with your head or mess up your day? I just refuse to do it. I'm like, I'm not, nope, done with that. Not gonna happen. And sometimes when you're angry with somebody, it's easier to feel sorry for them. Like, gosh, they're so negative. I feel sorry for them almost. It's easy, to me, it's easier to deal with. It's easier to feel sorry for somebody because I don't get mad then versus being angry. Angry's not good for me. It's just.
So I'm divorced twice. Look, okay, y'all. But anyway, the first divorce, I harbored a lot of anger and resentment. And when I forgave, the weight was lifted and like actually now he and I get along. And then my second divorce, I went a different route, like my mindset, and I didn't carry and harbor. I let it go faster than I did before because I learned from that first time. And he and I are cool now too. We co-parent my adult stepdaughter. Hi, Rayshawn, mommy loves you. But I learned from that first one for this second one, and eventually I'll get married again. I'm gonna stay married this time, y'all, for real. Like forever till I kill him. No, I'm just playing. I'm joking. But no, it'll be different because now I know better. I set boundaries, and it's like my I look at what did I learn, what lessons did I learn, and all that stuff, and I'm carrying it into whatever relationships now is. What lessons do I get out of this? And and people are mirrors for ourselves. They show us things that we need to heal too.
Right.
So.
And I think you learned like what's really important. Some of the things you thought were important when you were 20 are like not so important now. What's important changes, or it has for me anyway.
Me too.
Things that I used to worry about where I'm like, seriously, who?
Yeah.
I try and think. Okay, 10 years, will this thing matter or not? And and let stuff go. It's just it's not worth the stress in my head.
Yeah, and then it's like the older I get, when I'm around people or I meet people, it's like, I don't know, God gave me these little gifts, and I can just immediately pick up on people's energy, and just like my little spidey senses just go off. And then what I used to do, when I operated in Negatronville, I would be like, ugh, and kind of like, I could feel it, and I was like, ugh, and just block them out. So now I'm like, okay, I'm triggered. This person is raising my little spidey senses here. Let me get to know them and figure out what it is. Is it something that I need to heal within myself, or maybe it's something that I just need to be cognizant of and just beware, or whatever. So now I give people a chance more than I did back then, and I check myself to make sure it's not my trauma that I am projecting off onto somebody else, or if it's actually really my discernment telling me, eh. So.
But you've learned and grew, and and some people I think aren't as good at learning from their past, where it helps if you can.
And I'm like you, I gotta get the lesson, and you don't, like, if you get the lesson, you don't hold on to it, and you don't stay in victim mode.
No, that's not a fun
Yeah.
place to be.
Yeah.
No, and I think it doesn't help you to get where you want.
Or to be open to receive what you have waiting stored up for you.
And sometimes that bad stuff has to happen so it clears out a path for the good stuff to get to you. And that's another way to look at it, like, oh, and sometimes you don't know why you're going through it. But then when you look back, you're like, oh, now I get it. That had to happen so that this could happen, this good thing over here, but there wasn't room, so it had to clear out of the way.
And that's how this book came about. You had to go through all of what you went through to write this book.
I did, and it when I first started the class, they asked you, well, why did you write the book? And I was, first of all, like, well, I don't know. I wasn't ever a person that, I dreamed of writing a book. That was not me at all. But I felt like this book, I had to get it out of me, and I think writing it helped me let the anger go. And one of the people in a class through Georgetown took, she said that you write the book you need to read. And I think for me that was really true. I needed to reinforce how to use the law of attraction and how to make good things come about, and so it helped me with that.
Yeah, and y'all, she's helping me. I've been I was, first thing, when I was younger, I would say I was more religious when I was younger. Now I'm more spiritual. Like, I removed the religious aspect because I'm not into the denominational stuff and all that. So I'm gonna say I ventured off into just connecting with I say God. Like, people say universe, whatever. God is universe,
Right.
So it was a Jabez prayer in the Bible. At 19, I started that. And I would journal the Jabez prayer. And my sister, that book was sold in the dollar store. And I would I had a Jabez journal. So at 19, I'm doing this all the time. And then I ventured off and started doing vision boards and stuff. And then I bought the Purpose Driven Life. Like, at in my early teens, I was just like, God just put all these things in me, and he had to have me go through the little stuff I went through. And so then I read the Law of Attraction, but after the Purpose Driven Life, because I was like, what am I supposed to be doing, Lord? I thought I was supposed to be a teacher. And I was going to be a teacher, and I was going to be a police officer, and I was going to be an attorney. God was like, So I ended up, then I got more heavy off into vision boards and stuff. And then my kids, so now my kids do vision boards. Like, me and my son had in the bathroom, like, they were in middle school. I'm like, vision board party in the basement, 5 minutes. So
that's awesome, though, because then you get not only just the putting it together, but you see it all the time, and it reminds you of what you want. Those are excellent. Yes. I like to do them every so often. I'm about due for a new one, so yeah.
Yeah, I do them, I've been doing them like a couple times a year. And so I went from doing all that, then I did this one vision board, and so a friend of mine, hey Sonia, my friend Sonia, she inboxed me. She was like, do something creative today. I'm just telling you. So she called me, told me to do something creative. I was like, okay. And normally when she tells me something, I do it because
She's got the feeling or whatever.
yeah. So she told me to do this, and I sat on my bed. I got a bunch of markers, and normally I use magazines and stuff and cut stuff out. And she was like, no, be creative. So like with my hands. So, okay. So I sat with all these markers, and I drew my house. I drew my car. I drew my yard. I drew just like all this stuff on this board, and I put on there, my house is paid off, my car is paid off, I have a new fence. I put all these things on there. So the thing about what I've learned about the law of attraction is you got to be specific, and you don't know how it's going to come.
Exactly.
So I put my house was going to be paid off, and I put my car was going to be paid off. So in I went my second divorce. I had to get the house put in my name. So the house ended up being paid off that way. And through that, my car was paid off through that. And I was like, oh, wow. So I put a date every time something happened. And so I made a new one, and I put that on there too. Then on my I have another one. I'm gonna learn how to play the guitar. I started, then I stopped, and I broke one of the strings. But I'm gonna fix it, and then so eventually y'all gonna see me playing the guitar too. But so I just been doing all that, and then Candace came to me with you. Candace was like, I want you to meet my friend Lisa. She don't sound like that, y'all, but I'm just saying.
No, she doesn't. She has a nice voice.
She has a nice voice. Hey, Candace. But she told me that I had to meet you, and she was like, I think she would be a great guest for your show. I was like, okay. So that's when I reached out. And then I got your book. Girl, I love your book.
I'm glad.
And it explained, like, even though I've read, like, watched movies, read books and stuff, anybody can follow this and not feel lost. Because when I read The Secret, sometimes I felt lost. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is a lot to digest. And so, reading your book, I was just like, oh, okay, so I need to reframe some things, and and I thank you for writing this book.
Thank you. That was really the goal. Is I wanted to make it simple and but because I hate when I read a book, like a self-help book, and the person spends the first however many chapters telling us why they're so great.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't care about that. I want to know because then I skip through the book and figure out what I get to. I want to know what I need to do to make it better, or whatever I'm trying to fix or whatever. Mm-hmm. So when I was writing the book, I was trying to give people little simple things. Like, it doesn't cost anything to do a gratitude journal. You find a piece of paper somewhere. I mean, I have a pretty journal because it just makes me want to write in it more.
Your notebook there is pretty too.
Yeah, I like visual. I like pretty stuff. But I wanted to give people simple things that they could do, because sometimes you find a book and they want you to do all these things, and I go, who has time to charts and do all the... So I wanted to keep it pretty simple, and you can go into it heavy duty, which is, and there's a lot of people, other people, experts that you can read about it, but I wanted to give people that weren't familiar with it, or people that were, a little reminder and little things you can do. Because sometimes you'll stop something, I'll like, oh, I didn't write my gratitude journal for a while. I'm like, oh, I got to get back to it. Or affirmations. I read affirmations every night before I went to bed and every morning before I got out of bed. And so I think those are simple things you can do. Write your own affirmations, because an affirmation is a thought. Thoughts become things.
Yes.
So if you're thinking about good things, you're going to bring good stuff to you. So that really was my goal, is to make it simple so that people could, little activities to do.
Yeah, like, so you gave examples. Like, so if you're confused or like, I really need an example, you got examples. And so I took and went and did my own thing here, and so many journals. But I went into my own journal, and I do the gratitude too. But I just started reframing some things, and then read some of the stuff that I wrote, and I was like, oh, I need to change that, or So I am thankful that you did this. It really put a little fire under my butt to kind of get back on track and focus on being more positive and stop letting life, when life is lifing, impact me so much.
That's good.
So-
That's, I mean, and that's, when I hear stuff like that, that like brings joy to my heart, because people go, well, how are your book sales? I'm like, I don't know, but this person said it really helped them, and that's
That's what matters.
it is what matters. It really is. I had a gal I knew from high school. I knew her, but I wasn't, like, we weren't super, she was a couple years older, and after I'd written the book and had gotten out, she sent me, I think Facebook messaged me and said, hey, I bought your book, and I wanted to tell you that you really helped me get through my divorce. I was like 5 months behind you, and I saw your book, and I bought it, and I kept it on my nightstand going through my divorce, so it would help me get through it. And I would like bawled like a baby when I read that. And another friend from high school that I hadn't talked to forever sent me a message and said, you know, I read your book, and thank you, and I bought it for my son, who's kind of struggling to figure out what he's supposed to be doing. Those things are just, you know, another girlfriend's like, I keep it, so when I'm having a bad day, I'll pull it out and just kind of flip it open, and I mean, that,
It's doing what it's supposed to do, Lisa.
that's the best part of writing the book, really. It was just hearing those things, yeah. And people, I think they'll buy it, and then they'll go back, they've got a friend going through a bad time, so then they go buy a copy for their friends. So it's like, I think it's a little train that could.
That's what I did, because I got another copy for somebody else.
Yeah, but I think that's happening, I think, where, you know, people read it and then, oh, I got to get this for my friend who's going through whatever. And it doesn't have to be going through a divorce. It can be, you know, job change, or you're just in a funk. I think sometimes, and I think especially women, sorry guys, you know, you're trying to take care of your kids and your spouse or your partner or whatever, and you kind of forget who you were. And I think I got to that point where it was like, what brings me joy? I sort of because you're worried about taking care of everybody else. And of course, you know, my daughter's like the best thing ever, always brings me joy. But after the divorce, I had to like really think about what do I like to do? You know, what do I want to do? And that, in the book, it talks about your emotional scale, and where are you on the emotional scale. So you want to think about that too. Are we okay?
I accidentally turned off my mic. Oops. Okay, it's back on.
Okay.
Sorry, y'all. Okay. But no, that right there, you're saying, figuring out what you like, who you are, all that happens because you lose yourself.
Right. And so I think, and people ask me too, well, how do you figure out? I'm like, I went back to what I liked to do when I was a kid. You know, my dad built us a treehouse, and I would take a really good book and go sit in the treehouse. So now I'm like, okay, I don't have a treehouse in my yard. I'm probably not going to build one, but I'll go sit outside and read, you know, and ride bikes, and just go out and walk in the woods and that kind of thing. So I tell people, go back and think about when you were a kid. What did you love? I love to swim. So what did you love to do as a kid? When's the last time you did some of that stuff? And get back to that, because you have to keep your emotional scale high to make these things come to you. If you're down in the dumps, or you're in a rage or depressed, then it's harder to bring the good stuff to you.
Yeah, and then also, it's like practicing the non-attachment. Just let things just be. Put it out there and let it go. Just you
Not
can't
worry about how.
No expectations, guys. Don't have expectations when you're trying to manifest or just praying for what you want. Throw it out there. God heard you. The universe, God, whomever you want it to be, is heard you. Just let it go. Go do your thing, and things will just start falling in place.
And then people, you know, people say, oh, that stuff always falls into, you just luck out on stuff. And I'm like, no, it's not. Or they'll say, oh, that was a coincidence. There's no way that bedspread story was a coincidence. No way. That was God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Here you go. And giving you little signs. And I think sometimes, you know, you're like, oh, how's this going to work out? And again, don't worry about the how. But when you get those signs, pay attention and go, thanks, universe, thanks. I'll say it out loud, because I've had, one day it was in the middle of all the, you know, divorce stuff, and I don't know what had happened, but I wasn't happy. I'm go into the pool, and I'm bawling like a baby. It's gray, ugly Michigan, kind of like today was. And I had that snap the rubber band. I'm like, okay, done crying, just stop. And I was like, you'll figure it out. And then all of a sudden it was like God said, here you go. And the skies cleared and there was this beautiful sunrise. And I really think it was just for me. And I thought, okay, thanks universe. That was my sign. I know it's going to be okay. Just, you know, power through.
You get like a feeling, like you just know. Well, I know I do, and it sounds like you do too. You just know.
I had one time, and I had a couple times when this happened where, and it sounds really weird, but it's true. I had, you know, a little sign like the sky, and then I felt like energy going from the top of my head down through my body, out my face, like everything's tingling. And I think it was like, okay, there's another sign. This one, like, kind of had to slap you in the head to go, pay attention, you're going to be okay. But I've had a couple of times like that where it was like whoosh, went right through you, which sounds a little weird.
Because I know the exact feeling you're talking about.
Okay, good.
I know.
So I'm not crazy. That makes me feel better.
You're not crazy, because even when I meet people, like, I'm like, I was supposed to, like I was telling you the story of how I met Asante and how this all came to be. It's like I just knew, and it's times where I meet people and I get that little feeling, that tingle, and I know that, okay, this, and I was telling my best friend, oh, people are calling in.
Okay.
I'm sorry, y'all, hold on one more second. People are calling in. But, are my earphones plugged up? But, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know exactly.
Yeah, the energy comes through, heavy duty. Do you need, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So put these on?
Thank you. All right, so we're going to take a caller. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Candace. How are you?
Good. Am I too late?
No, you're not too late. Go ahead. You got any questions for us? Thank you for calling.
Hi, Candace.
Hi. My feed is behind, so I'm not watching this actually happening at this time. But what I wanted to say was I really feel that I am a very positive person. I also feel that I have a ton of gratitude. I am grateful every single day for people around me, the things around me, all the love and support. And I truly believe that the love and support that I put out there comes back to me. Yet when I'm with Lisa, we golf together, we hang out and do movies and stuff, she's often correcting me because I use humor and I throw out negative things that in a humorous way. I'm careful that I do that just to protect myself, but I'm doing that to protect myself. So I don't know. I don't know how to, stop pointing out things that might be kind of negative, myself protected.
I think, and this is for everybody, because you're a very positive person. I'm just going to say that from the start.
Yes.
And you can feel that from you. You exude that energy. But I think we all tend to beat ourselves up. And so I'm always trying to work with clients or people, somebody will say, oh, I can't believe I was that stupid. You're not stupid, but I don't think anybody should say they're stupid or say those words because your subconscious doesn't know if you're kidding or not. So I think that's one reason to be careful on what we think to ourselves and also what we say to ourselves or about ourselves, is just be kind to ourselves. We wouldn't say something negative to a friend, and we need to treat ourselves like we would our best friend, I think. And that goes for everybody. Beats themselves up.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think the more that we can be kind to ourselves, again, the more good things that will happen, and we're not we don't need to knock ourselves down because life's hard enough as it is. We need to be kind to ourselves. And I think, too, a lot of times people will be hard on themselves where they set a goal and maybe they don't get to the goal, but they get halfway there. And instead of going, you know what, I made progress, and maybe it wasn't exactly where I wanted to get, but it was definitely better than from where I started. And we need to celebrate the progress more and not be so concerned on the final thing. I think that happens too.
Yeah.
So, no.
Yeah,
but
I think I'm doing that to protect myself, and I don't give myself credit for the gains, for sure.
Yeah. I want to say this to you, Candace, because I struggle with that too. I had to correct myself because I cracked a joke, and it, like she said, the universe don't know if it's a joke or not. So, but the thing is something that helps me, and it could probably help you too, because we are very similar, is just immediately when you say something, just stop yourself and just don't even proceed any further with it coming out your lips. Like as soon as you catch yourself, just stop. It's called thought stopping.
Right.
So just it takes
Right.
practice, but eventually you'll be more aware of it, and it'll be quicker that you'll just stop. So
Right.
yeah,
it's like anything else. It's
Yeah,
anything
before
we
you
learn.
actually say it, it'll stop.
Yeah, it does take practice, and it's like learning how to read. You know, we didn't know, you had to learn the letters before you could learn the words, before you could put a sentence together. Same thing with our thoughts. We have to, stop, like Bobby said, when you say that or you say something, you're like, oh, taking it back.
Yeah.
And then you will get quicker on recognizing that you did it and then not do it as often. And I think that's the same thing when we have negative thoughts, even if we're not saying them, you start to recognize like, uh-oh, because I'll do that. I'll get in a funk or something bad will happen, and then I'll be like, whoa, you have to turn it around and stop it right now. And it's almost like you put your hand up and go, okay, that's enough of the bad thoughts, and turn around and what am I going to do, or how am I going to fix this and figure it out. And it just gets quicker with practice. It's just like anything else. To get better at it, you got to practice it.
And I want to say you know how you said you give yourself time, like a time limit to be in the funk? My best friend taught me that. And she'd be like, give yourself a few minutes and work through this. Okay, you feel better now? Okay, now move on.
Like snap out of it. Yep. Because I don't like feeling like down in the dumps. I don't like that feeling, and I don't like when I get like that and I can feel it, and I'll be like, okay, that's enough. Just you're being ridiculous. Just get over it. Move on. Yeah.
Right.
So Candace, and I see that you put where they can buy the book. See, that's a good friend right there. She
Yes,
put.
it is. Candace sold a lot of my books for me.
Yes, Candace has. So we have 2 people that want to buy the book. So yeah, guys, I'm telling Nasha, Stephanie, yes, you you have to get the book. And Candace, I'm gonna let you go, but thank you for calling because I have 2 more people to call back. They called in too.
Okay, thanks, Candace.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, love you.
Love you guys.
Bye,
Love you
love you too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so let me call back the other caller. And I'm one of those people, when I tell people I love them, I actually love them. Like, if I don't love you, I ain't even gonna say it.
Uh-oh, I'm nervous now.
No. No, because you know how some people like, I love you, and they really be like, no, you don't. No. Okay, I'm calling now.
Hello.
Hey, Stephanie, I saw that you called. Thank you for calling in. I just wanted to call you back. So, what was your question for us?
So my question is, I really love this title, and I'm not familiar with the law of attraction. Can you tell me what do you mean by law of attraction?
Sure, that's a great question. The law of attraction is kind of a concept or a belief that like attracts like is the basic.
Okay.
And so if you're thinking bad thoughts, you're going to attract more bad things. Where if you're thinking good things, you're going to attract good things. So thoughts become things. So if your thoughts are negative, then it brings about negative things. Where if your thoughts are positive, it will bring about positive things. And I think we talked about the example of, every morning before you put your feet on the floor, you have a choice. Are you going to, start your day with a good frame of mind, or are you going to start with a bad frame of mind, or think, oh, this day's going to be terrible? If that's how you think, it will be. Where if you think, you know what, maybe I've got some challenges today, but I'm going to get through them and it's going to be a great day. So it's the law of attraction and it talks about getting yourself the emotional scale, and at the bottom of the scale is like despair or depression or rage. And if you're in one of those emotions, it's very, very hard to bring about good things because you're in such a negative mindset. And so you need to work your way up that emotional scale so you can get to the joy and love part of the highest end. And the book talks about, if you are in a funk or you're down in the dumps, what can you do to move yourself up that emotional scale? And we talked about, moving, and again, I don't like to call it exercise, but moving, dancing, walking, swimming, whatever you like to do, and make it something you love to do. Is a quick way to do that. The gratitude journal. It's hard to think negative thoughts when you're writing down things that you're thankful for. And I think we all have something that we're thankful for, even if we're going through a really bad time. It could be something as simple as, gosh, my bed is so comfortable, or, oh, I'm just thankful that I had 3 meals today. I had food, or I had the sunshine. It doesn't have to be, oh, I've got this big expensive house. Being great, and the more grateful you are for the little things, then again, you bring about better things because you're thinking better thoughts.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's good stuff.
Thank you for the question,
That's good
though.
stuff.
I should have gone into that, explained that from the start.
Oh, you probably did.
No,
I just came in on the tail end and missed it. So
No,
that's good.
Jump right
I
into
like
the
that.
book, like.
And where can I purchase the book?
Another excellent question. The book's available on Amazon, and you can search for A Million Little Miracles or Lisa Kentner, and it will pop up. It's also available at like Barnes and Noble. I think Walmart, the big retailers, it's available.
And then
Awesome.
It's a bookstore also. Let me Candace put it in the thing.
It's in Waterford's at My New Favorite Thing.
Yeah, that's what
And
she
then
put.
also I'm doing a book signing at Inscribe Books in Clarkston on Saturday. And that's on Sashabaw Road in Clarkston from 12 to 3.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for answering my question. You ladies have a good night.
You too. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
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 Okay, so next we are going to call Rayshawn. Okay, Rayshawn, I'm about to call you. All right. That's my oldest daughter.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, Avon.
Yeah.
Hi. Do you have a question for us?
Oh, sorry. I was still listening to it on the TV. Yeah, actually. So my background is with social work and mental health counseling, all that jazz. And so I was thinking about the modalities this goes into. I talk a lot about manifesting in the terms of mindfulness. When you were talking about like movement, I commented movement is medicine, stuff like that. I always tell my clients about what's it called, affirmations and stuff like that, creating affirmations. I probably learned that from Bobby. But what I was not concerned, but like interested was you said basically I've not delved that far into law of attraction. That's something my brother is more into, Bobby's more into than me. But as I listen to you speak, I'm interested into how is it different than toxic positivity. I was doing a little bit more research on that. And I just wanted to hear your take on like what's toxic positivity versus law of attraction and where like the difference is. I'm not saying that law of attraction is toxic positivity because I heard you two talking about um, making space for the negative emotions, but I just wanted to hear like if you've ever heard of toxic positivity or your thoughts.
You want me to touch on it? Sure. Okay. So with toxic positivity, that's where people don't allow that space for anything to feel those emotions. It's constantly downplaying. Like if somebody's going through something, it's like you're just ignoring what they're going through and be like, no, be positive, be positive, be positive, and not allowing people the space to feel that emotion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, I come at things from a common sense. I think it's, if you get divorced, somebody you're close to dies. Those are hard to deal with, but I think you have to recognize and feel it, but you can't delve into the negativity. I think some people wallow in it, and then it becomes not just a bad day, a bad week, and then all of a sudden, hey, it was a bad year, and then it just becomes the negativity becomes a habit. And so I think, at least for myself, because bad things do happen. There's no way you can say bad things don't happen. Bad things do happen, but I think the quicker you can turn it around, your thoughts around, and get out of the funk, the better off you will be. So I think it's not realistic to go, your best friend dies. It's not realistic to say, oh, just snap out of it. You've got to feel that grief, and the grief comes in at different times. And I'm not a grief expert, but I know when someone close to you dies, it hits you at different times, and you kind of have to feel it, get through it.
Yeah.
But again, not wallow. To me, it's you don't wallow in the negativity. You recognize it and then get out of it as quick as you can. But you can't just totally tell yourself to not let it hit you, because there's just life happens and stuff hits you, and you gotta move through it, get through it, and get to those more. And sometimes it's like, okay, if you're way at the bottom of the emotional scale, just keep working at moving yourself up. And the quicker you can do that, the better off, I think, at least for myself, the better off I am. But I still, recognize the feelings, and I recognize that, hey, this was bad. But I try and limit when something bad happens. So I'm not wallowing in it.
That's completely fair. I think the difference that I was missing was the wallowing. A lot of people do wallow.
That's not a good
I've learned that. Yeah, I've learned. I've met those people a lot. But yeah, and then I wanted to share, like, I've definitely been around people who, I think being around specifically my stepmom, Bobby, for me personally, like, my story with like law of attraction, I guess, with not recognizing it, it would be like, I was thinking about this while you two were talking, would be like with just like my degrees, because I remember a friend asking me when I was deep in my master's, like, well, do you have a plan B? And I looked at him like he was like crazy. I never thought of like not getting my master's. And because in my head, I was like, so when I get it, when this happens, even throughout the struggles. So I think that,
So you're doing
I
it, you don't
know,
even
it's
know
always
you're
a
doing it.
mindset.
Yeah. No, that's great. And you're telling yourself it's already done. You're assuming it's done. So I think that's great. Yep.
Yeah. So thank you. And I'll definitely be looking into your book.
Thank you. Thanks for calling in.
I shall get you one, my daughter dear.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, love you. Thank you for calling, baby.
Love you too.
Bye. So we are at 8:04. Let me go look in the chat. Are there any more questions or anything in there? Let me go look real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, so my daughter, this was my oldest here, that was calling. Her name is Avon, but I call her Rayshawn. That's her middle name, but I just call her Rayshawn. But it was funny, like why isn't it going to our page? She is not the one that's gonna sit there and be like, okay, let me do a vision board. It was, when she was younger, she was like, oh God, I gotta do this vision board. So I was always the bright sunshine in our house, but my daughter accepted me. Like, she's a bundle of sunshine too. She just is more calm, and when I came in her life, I was like, I energized her.
But I liked when she was, well, when I get my master's, like, it was a done deal in
she
her
didn't
head.
realize it, but
Yes.
it's like I've watched my daughter just grow into this wonderful woman, like, and I'm just so proud of you, Aven. And she was manifested, didn't know. And just watching her grow, she went from didn't want to do a vision board, and now mama gonna buy you a book, baby. But yes, you know, just she's an awesome girl, and I just watching her grow, and she was manifesting, didn't even know it. And we're gonna do another vision board, Aven.
That's great. I love it.
Yes, but okay. So I was not able. Asante, do you see any questions in the chat? Because I can, for some reason, I can't get on the Facebook page. Oh, there it is. Okay, couldn't get on there to see if we had any more questions in the chat. Let's see. Okay, Nasha, she said Amazon. You can buy it on Amazon. Yeah. Or did you bring any books with you?
I do have some with me.
Okay. Can they cash app you and I get them tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. So after the show, Stephanie and Nasha, I will get you guys books tonight. So
I'll sign them.
yes. I'll give you something to say to them. No? Okay. So real quick before we sign off, I want to share. So next week I won't be here. I'm going to a concert to see. I butcher her name. Is Eniko. I think it's Eniko. She's a singer, but I've been waiting for her to come, and so I'm going to see her next week. But I'll be back on the 20. Let me see. I'll be back on the 28th with my special guest. His name is Cool Almighty, and we are going to be talking about a father's love. We're going to be talking about his journey of healing after losing his father to COVID. Cool Almighty, aka Jazario, is my cousin, and he is an awesome fella. Gentle giant there. All the men in our family are tall. So, but yeah, so he'll be with me on the 28th virtually. So join in 7 p.m. April 28th, live on YouTube and Facebook as we talk about a father's love with Cool Almighty. So Lisa, let's tell everybody bye. Thank you guys for joining us. So you wave bye there and I'll wave bye here.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye guys. Thanks for joining us. This was fun, Lisa.
It was. Thank you.
We're done.